Well, good morning everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and well, intake, and I'm going to show you guys how to install this. I did recently do one on the Tacoma, so I think it's fairly similar, but there are a couple of different parts, so we're going to see. I don't know. Before we do that, I'm going to start the truck up with the hood open, do a couple revs, kind of a before and after, so we can see if it makes any difference, at least under the hood, with the TRD cold air intake installed. So let's do that. All right, there's a couple of cold start revs for you. So when we're all done, truck will be cold again by then, we'll be able to see if there's any kind of a sound difference from underneath the hood, but let's get started. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Got everything laid out down here. You guys can see the cold air intake itself, couple of tools, whatever, directions, right there. So we're going to go through, do a step-by-step. I'll show you guys how to do this. Of course, the first thing that we need to do is remove the negative terminal from the battery. So we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, let's go ahead and pull the terminal off. There, we'll make sure we tuck that down here below so it doesn't pop back up and suddenly give us power again. All right, next we're going to remove the engine cover here. Should just be a lift up and pull forward motion, like so. And then just come straight out of there like that. That takes care of the hood, the engine cover. You can see it just has, just like the Tacoma, a couple of areas that fit over, some nubs in the back, and then two areas here where it fits over some pins that hold it on, and that's it. So we'll set this aside. Next, we're going to loosen the bolt here, or the clamp, at the throttle body right here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. This takes a 10 millimeter, go figure, 10 millimeter socket. Wow, that couldn't be any looser. That was loose before I touched it. Alright, that takes care of that. And next is to remove the, let's see, the PVC hose and the small vacuum hose beside it. You can see both. Let's see, right here where you can see the clamp, and then this little vacuum hose right here beside it. Those two need to be removed. So we'll do that next. Hopefully I can do that with just my hands. I was able to do that with just my hands on the Tacoma. So we'll see if it's just as easy here on the Tundra. Well, the clamp certainly was. That's no problem. And then the little air intake hose right beside it, I think we'll remove the PVC part first. See how that fits. If it's like the other one, it was a bit of a pain to twist off of there. All right, you guys can see those there. Right here is actually a piece of blue painter's tape. I taped around the little vacuum hose because that's pretty small. I didn't want it to fall back there and lose sight of it. And then right here beside it, that little blue tip that you can see on the end of the PVC hose, that's the other hose that I pulled off. If you kind of grab that right below that blue paint that's on it, squeeze a little and pull, it's pretty easy to get off. I wouldn't jump on it because it'll give all of a sudden, and then you're going to slam your knuckles into whatever's behind it, but you can feel it start to give. So let's move on to the next step. All right, we're going to actually skip one step right now and come back to it, and that is, I don't know if this will focus in for you right here. That's this step right here where you actually remove that PVC hose from the other end, because we're going to use this hose that came with the kit to replace it, I believe. But I don't want to do that yet until we go to reassemble. So we're going to move on to disconnecting the mass flow sensor. And that should be pretty simple. It is located, let's see, right there. You can see it with the wires on it there. Get my camera situated right there. So we're going to unplug that. It should just be a little thing you push in here on the back or the front to do that. Let's see. Yeah, it's on the back, right back here. It just pushes in. And you might take note and remember that when you go to reinstall this, the thing you push on is on the back, not the front. Just something to remember to maybe make it a little easier to put back on. But that takes care of the mass, or the mass airflow sensor. Let's move on. All right, next we're supposed to move the little clip or the holder that holds the wiring for the Maf sensor to the lid of the existing or OEM airbox lid. That is right there, that piece. So we're going to go ahead and pull that off. All right, we've got that part disconnected now. A little tip for you, just a little flat head screwdriver. I know that's probably not going to focus. Just a little flat head screwdriver, and you'll be able to kind of start from the top part of it, and just kind of pry, and then it'll pull right out. Okay, we've got everything disconnected that we need to be able to remove the factory lid and piping and all that good stuff. We do need to unclip the lid, so we'll unclip that, and then we should be able to pull the whole thing off. So let's get that done. These are just the clips on the side of the lid, like you would normally unfasten to check the filter or whatever. We should be able to just twist this thing off, in theory. There we go. Nothing still attached, I hope. And there is the factory lid and accompanying bits that we now have off. So let's set this over on the table. And one other thing we're told to do at this point is remove the factory air filter. There you go. Once again, this thing is basically brand new. You can see there's nothing in it. So let's set this aside. All right, now we have to remove the lower factory airbox, I guess, or the airbox itself. There are two bolts, both, of course, 10 millimeter, kind of diagonally on this thing. There's one back right here in the corner, and there's one right up here in the corner. So we're going to start with the easiest in this case. Okay. We should, in theory, be able to lift that box out of there now. We'll see. Indeed we are. There is the removal of the factory air box. So now we'll take this over to the table, and then I think we have some parts to swap. Okay, next we're supposed to remove the air inlet duct, which is this part here, from the factory lower air box. And there are a couple little tabs here that you gotta, kind of gotta work around. One over here and one here. They're what really hold it on. So you kind of have to pry up a little bit. I'm gonna use just a trim tool to do that because I don't want to crack or break the plastic. So let's see how easy or difficult this is. All right, we've got that part off, so let's move on. Alright, if you recall before, I did not take the PVC hose off yet. It had called for that earlier. Now it's calling for me to take the clamps off of it. So we are going to go ahead and remove that PVC hose from the engine, like it wanted us to do before. There, that did help. So do yourself a favor, use a screwdriver just to pry up the edge a little bit, a very little bit, and then this piece will come right off. Alright, one more note for you guys regarding this PVC hose. It's interesting, in the directions in the beginning it told us to completely remove this. In the written directions here, when it tells you to take the clamps off, it actually shows it still on the motor. So, just so you know, it would be removed already if you followed the directions. I did not. So at this point we're going to go ahead and pull these two little clamps off of each end. These are the clamps right here and right here, because we're going to reuse them when we put the new piece on there. So let's go ahead and pull those off. I believe they're the same size, so you don't really have to worry about which is which. And set those aside. Back here. And now we're to the point where we're supposed to install the TRD air intake system. So we have everything removed, I guess, that we need to at this point. And we're going to start putting new bits and pieces in. And the first one is this air horn into the fender. That's this rubbery piece. And if you remember from if you saw the video on the Tacoma, this back part kind of deforms so that you can get it through the hole, and then it pulls through to the front. And you got to make sure, I think it's probably the same as the other, that you have this slit on top. And I see in the directions this slit is on top, so pay attention to that. It needs to be pointing up even once you install it in there. So let's go over and put this in. Alright, you guys are looking at the hole in the fender. That's where this cap is going to go, or new inlet. So we're going to go ahead and finagle that in there. Alright, that seems to be seated in there perfectly. Now I'm going to go grab a Band-Aid so that I don't bleed all over the place. First casualty of the install. Alright, now we're supposed to reinstall the lower air box back into the hole over there where we just put that little housing, and secure it back down to the bottom of the truck using, or the engine bay, using a 10mm socket. So let's go ahead and put that back in. So you're going to have to finagle it a little bit to push it back in. Shouldn't be that big a deal. Alright, couple things I wanted to show you guys. This housing, this inlet cover, whatever you want to call it, housing that goes back in the hole, it looks like when you put it in, there's a nub that fits right up against it, and that's it. But it actually pushes in further than that. It's actually in further than what it looks like it should be, so just a note there. And then right here, there is a little nub on the existing housing that fits into a hole in the fender there. So got to make sure you do that. Otherwise, it's pretty simple to fit in. I do wish this coupling here, right here, was a little bit shorter. To me, it looks like it's too long for the kit. But anyway, it is in. Okay, following right along with the instructions, it is time for the mass flow air sensor relocation. So we need to pull this off of the OEM part that we already removed, which of course is sitting right here. So there's two screws, I believe. Yeah, very tiny screws for such a pain in the arse piece of equipment. Let's go ahead and pull those off. All right, we've got these itty bitty tiny screws out. Check out how small those are. My God, man, for such a pain in the arse piece of equipment, you'd think they'd be a little more robust. But anyway, we've got those loosened, so let's see about pulling this sucker out. Ooh. Wow, that's quite a piece of equipment there. You guys can see this is that nasty mass flow air sensor. So we're going to relocate that into the new airbox lid right here. And ideally it should just fit right back down in. It did. We'll go ahead and put the screws back in here. and move on to the next step. Okay, next it's time to assemble all the hoses onto the new upper air box, or the lid if you will. I've got them all laid out here. You guys can see this is how they're going to go. And I'm going to go ahead, actually I think it goes like this. The one thing I want to point out again on this, there are notches and nubs and things on here that make these pretty darn easy to get the hoses on there correctly in the right positions. So pay attention to that when you do it. I'm going to go ahead and get all this assembled. It's just like putting a little puzzle together. Tighten down the clamps and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, we've got all the couplings and hoses and all that good stuff on here tightened down. One note, you want to make sure that you do not tighten the one down here on the end yet, obviously, because it's going to go over the throttle body in the truck. So the next thing is to get the filter back here inside the housing in the truck, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Real quick, this is the high performance air filter. It is the oiled filter. I'll probably use it until it's dirty, and then I'll probably replace it. And honestly, I'll probably go with a traditional filter because I just don't want to mess with the oil, but we'll see. So we're going to go ahead and get this in the truck and then move on to the next step. Nice red color like that. You'll never see it, but I like it. Okay, next step here is to start reassembling the TRD intake. So, or on putting it onto the truck, I should say. So, we're going to go ahead and grab it here and fit it back over the coupling here, and then we're going to go ahead and attach it down. And again, there's a little nub on top that fits over, or a little slot that fits over the top here on the throttle body. So you want to make sure that you get that area right there over this little nub that sticks out, and make sure that your clamp is on in such a way that you can easily access the bolt to tighten it down, of course. There we go. Just like that. All right, we'll finagle that around a little bit. I will say, right here on the edge, the nut or bolt that you have to tighten on the clamp on the edge right here is right up against the throttle body housing. So you're going to have to rotate that up so it's up here on top a little bit so that you can access it. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't do that with it on. It's quite tight. I really don't want to take this off now that I have it on. There, we'll just pull it up on top like this. Hopefully you guys can see right here. So that we have access to be able to tighten it. You wouldn't want it down there, you wouldn't be able to reach it. So let me go ahead and get my wrench. We'll tighten this up and then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, we've got the throttle body over here all tightened down with the clamp up above. Little tip for you, make sure you have that clamp up above so it's not hitting this part down here or you'll have trouble tightening it. But now we're on to fastening down the lid. That should be pretty simple. There's a little tab right there that you can see that it fits in on each side, and then you hook it with the little hooks on the side. So let's go ahead and see if we can't make that happen. Now we have to put the new piece of PVC tubing on. Kind of interesting looking creation, and go ahead and hook up the rest of the hoses. So we're going to do that next. All right, here's another little tip for you, and I don't know if this is necessary, but the hose here that was on the truck before had a sleeving over it. I assume for heat protection. And it does not say to do this in the directions, but I'm doing it anyway. I took that sleeving off of this piece, and I'm going to go ahead and, which I've already done, and put it on the new piece just to add a little bit of protection here. Again, I don't know if it's necessary. The directions don't state to do that, but I did it, so maybe a little tip for you there. And that goes on pretty darn easy. I'm going to slide it all the way up like so, and then we'll put the clamp on over the hose here at the bottom like so, and then the vacuum hose is supposed to be next, so let's go ahead and attach that. I'll take my tape off that I used so I could keep track of it. go ahead and slide that on. All right, we have that on. Now we have to go up here to the top. And it's interesting, you notice they gave you this kind of L-shaped thing. It doesn't really line up well. I'm going to have to finagle it a little bit just to get it on there, but I'm not sure what they were trying to accomplish with the L. All right, we're on top of the engine here, and let me show you something that is a little bit different. The directions need to be revised, and this part here coming off the this new PVC part coming off the air intake needs to be changed. But the way it used to be, this pipe that's back here used to be right here, and then this nub here would be on the back, open now since I removed the TRD or the air filter system part of it. And that's why it was shaped like an L, because it would fit, as you can see, perfectly back there. But now it's going to be a little more awkward here. So this part needs to be revised and the directions need to be changed. It's no longer set up with this part here coming off the side here, and then this going in the back. So it's a little bit different, but we're going to plug it in right here. And as you can see, it's not going to fit perfectly, but it will fit. So let's go ahead and do that next. All right, I've gone ahead and connected the PVC tubing right here from the new cold air intake, and you can see it's kind of awkward the way it goes around there, but it does fit, so not a big deal. And next we need to attach the Maf Sensor little holder, if you will, to the upper corner here of the lid, and then plug in the Maf Sensor, reconnect the negative terminal on the battery, and then we're going to fire it up. Should be able to just snap this puppy back in. There you go. And remember, I had mentioned before about making sure that you keep track of where the little push area is on the back of the sensor so that you put it back in here properly. It is on the back right now, so we should be able to just plug that in. You guys heard it. There you go. And that's it. So now we'll go over and take care of the negative terminal on the battery, and then we're going to fire it up. All right, let's go ahead and get that battery reconnected. And I wear gloves. And this is a little weirdo thing about me. I don't like touching the battery terminals with my hands, so I wear a glove. Don't know why. It's just me. Let's go ahead and get that on. That's it. Excuse me. I'm all choked up. That's it. We appear to be done. I don't know of anything else to do. The directions say that we're done. We have the new cold air intake done. There you go. You guys can see it there. I think it looks awesome. Again, it's not so much about performance, although I'll be interested to see. In pairing this with the TRD exhaust, if you've seen my other videos, I am shocked at the difference that the TRD exhaust makes on this truck. I don't know if it's just the 4.0-liter motor. I don't know, but I find it amazing. So we're going to go ahead. I do need to throw the engine cover back on, and hopefully my little PVC pipe back here is not in the way. I see it sticking up back there, but I think it's okay. We'll see. And then we're going to fire it up, compare it to the cold start we had in the beginning, and see what it sounds like now. Just so you guys know, it probably took me about maybe a couple hours to do this, a little bit less than the Tacoma TRD cold air intake took. I don't know if it's just because I was used to doing it or what, but it was quicker to do. So let me go ahead and get the engine cover back on, and then we're going to fire it up. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and start it up. All right, there you go. There was a little cold start test. I'm not sure what it sounds like. I'll have to hear it back in the video just like you guys. Pretty easy mod, couple of hours, follow the directions. There are a couple little quirks, I will say. in installing this. A couple little things, you know, the way that inlet cover or insert fits into the side of the fender. That's a little quirky to me. I think it's probably a little bit too long. And of course that PVC pipe on top, not really for this this design. It needs to be revised, I think. Anyway, appreciate you guys watching. I'll leave a link down below where you can get this and the tools and things that I use. There is a link to my Amazon store where you can buy all the tools and stuff if you're interested, if you need them. Check it out. Again, do me a favor, at least click on that link, even if you don't buy anything. It helps out the channel. Appreciate you guys watching. Want to give a shout out again to sparksparts.com. Appreciate you guys over there hooking me up with these parts. Again, if you're looking to buy some Toyota parts, check them out, sparksparts.com. And don't forget discount code RobMotive for 5% off. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.